The Monster. Freddy and his friend Mark were avid monster hunters. They had never found anything, but to them it was fun just to go and look. A few people in a nearby town had been telling tales of a famous creature called Sasquatch. They had heard that there had been recent sightings at farms nearby, where the creature would wander in and try to steal some food from the animals' troughs. Freddy and Mark decided that they would camp out in the woods near one of these farms with their cameras and try to get footage of this terrifying creature. They stayed awake until around midnight, but by then they were both so tired they couldn't even keep their eyes open. Soon, both of the young men were asleep in front of the campfire. Suddenly, Freddy woke up to the sound of twigs snapping nearby. When he sat up, he realized that most of the food he and Mark had packed was gone. It had been stolen by something in the woods. Freddy woke Mark up, and they grabbed their cameras. They both ran into the dark forest, following the crackling and snapping of the twigs. When the sounds of the creature stopped behind a big bush, Freddy decided that he would jump out from the bush and get some pictures of the creature before it had a chance to run away again. They could hear the creature's heavy breathing on the other side of the bush and began to count down from 3. 3, they said together. Freddy was gripping his camera tight. Finally, they would have proof of the real-life monster. 2. 1! Freddy jumped out and began taking pictures as fast as he could. But it was actually a bear. Freddy didn't make it. The Ghost in the Dog. Jack and Ben were roommates at the college. The only other roommate they had was their old husky dog, Bud, that Ben had bought 3 years ago. Jack was a ghost enthusiast and was always trying to get Ben to go with him to haunted houses or creepy-looking cemeteries, and for the most part, Ben would go with him just for fun. One day, though, Jack told Ben about a story he had heard. "You take an animal into the bathroom with you," Jack had said. "Then you light some candles. You chant the words, 'Ghost visit me,' 30 times, and the ghost will actually talk to you through the animal." "I don't know about that," said Ben. "That seems a little too far-fetched for me." "Come on," said Jack. "We can try it on Bud." Reluctantly, Ben agreed, mainly because he was curious to see what would happen. That night, they grabbed a flashlight, lit some candles, and brought Bud into the bathroom. The old dog was so lazy that he immediately fell asleep on the bathroom floor. But when Jack and Ben began to chant the words, Bud's ears suddenly perked up. They kept chanting and watched as the dog stood up alertly and began letting out a low growl. Ben stared in amazement, wondering what would happen next. When the 2 young men got to 30, the dog stopped growling and hung his head. All was silent when suddenly all of the candles blew out. Jack turned on the flashlight and shined it at Bud, who was still hanging his head. "Bud," Jack whispered, his voice shaking a little. "Bud, can you talk to us?" Everything was still until the dog began to quietly growl again. The growl went on until it began to sound like a person's voice. The dog looked the 2 young men in the eyes and said, "Would it kill you guys to make sure my food dish is full before you leave for the day?" If you enjoyed listening to those but wanted to experience reading the stories for yourself, you should check out the link in the description because we have an Etsy page and David's book is on there. Now, in addition to all of his short stories and poems, this book also features some incredible artwork, so check it out.